Alright, couple of quick observations. Right now, the lower end seems to be in gear. If I try and turn this, it actually wants to turn the crankshaft, which I would have thought this would be in neutral until voltage was applied, but I might be wrong about how that works. There's only 2 wires that go down there, and then I'm assuming it's using the ground as a return, so I would have thought that 12 volts on one is forward and 12 volts on the other is reverse, and then I would have thought no voltage on either one would be neutral, but maybe I'm wrong about that. The other thing is I just hooked the water up to it and I had it running, and it was definitely building pressure in this lower part here because water was squirting out on the air muffs, but it didn't seem like any water was flowing up into the cooling system, which I had let it cool down. I mean, it's warm to the touch, but it's not super hot. I didn't want to suddenly hook up 50-degree water to the cooking hot engine that was just screaming, because I might run the risk of damaging something. So I'm going to turn the water back on and see if it starts to cool down. On the positive side, it was nice how it took right off. It was screaming on the RPMs, but then I came back here and lowered the throttle and it was okay. I had it all the way down because it says start, points that way, so I figured all the way down was the start position, but that also seemed like it must have been full throttle. So now, you see I definitely have water flowing in. It's leaking right here around these muffs, so I'm definitely getting some good pressure into that part of the lower tower. So now the question is, would have thought the thermostat would be open on the top here. Would have fully expected thermostat would be open and that the water would be flowing up into here, but it's not. Well, I guess I could run it a little bit, see if it gets, when it gets hot, if water starts spitting out. It looks like these right here are going to be where your water comes out from the engine after the water pump pumps it through. I think generally the way these work is the water comes in here, goes through the water pump impeller, and that's down in here, typically somewhere around here, and then gets pumped either right back out, or if the thermostat opens, it gets pumped through the engine, cools the engine, and it comes out. But this is where you should see water spitting out when it's running. So let's see what happens. See if it restarts easily. I gotta put my little jumper on. Anybody happen to see what I did with that alligator clip I was using? I shut it down because there's no water coming out of these ports at all, and this is getting so hot that I can't barely keep my hand on it for more than a second. And that seems plenty hot enough to me that it should be circulating water. So there must be something wrong with the cooling system. The problem with the thermostat, or maybe the water pump impeller is bad. Alright, so got two problems here that both center around this lower end unit having to come off. It looks like that's going to be the next move. Looks like there's 2 bolts here on this side and 2 bolts on the other side, and then on my 64 you had to take this back piece off and there was a bolt hidden underneath here. And on this one it doesn't look like this center tower comes apart, but there's a big bolt right here. So I bet you that's the one that they used to have it come in from the top, and now it looks like they have it coming from the bottom. So I think if I take those 5 bolts out, I might be able to actually drop this whole lower unit out. And then on top of the lower unit, once it drops out, that's where I should find my water pump. And then, of course, the other issue is this still seems to be in gear. I ran an ohm meter check from the 2 wires that come up from down here, the electric shift, and I'm getting about 5.5 to 6 ohms on each lead to ground. So I'm assuming one lead is reverse, one's forward, and then I think it's using the ground as the return. So I'm not sure if that's a good reading or not, but I tried putting 12 volts to each one of those and I didn't hear any clicking or anything down here. I was getting some sparking, so it's drawing current in the coils. I'm assuming it is anyways, but nothing's moving. So I'm wondering whether or not something down here is seized up. I mean, I don't even know. I guess that's another thing I could do. I haven't done on this yet. I could take the screw out here and see what condition the oil's in. I think I'll do. Take the oil out by taking this lower screw out. Now when you first take this lower screw out, it's just going to dribble out barely. And when you take this upper screw out, that's going to let air in so the oil can come out faster. And what we're hoping to see is nice clean oil. We hope it's not all water and all contaminated. So
is that balloon coming forward?
I can't tell.
Yes.
You think it is?
Yeah, because it's getting louder and louder and louder and louder.
Okay, well if you're getting really nervous, you can go in the house if you want.
And I can watch that movie.
Yeah,
right?
well.
We can watch that. Our whole family is going to watch it,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know about that.
Right?
Well, that oil doesn't look bad.
You have to take the upper one out.
Yeah, I'm going to take the up one out now.
Can I do it? Can I do it?
I don't even have to take it out. If I just loosen it, it's going to come out faster.
It is coming out faster.
Mm-hmm.
How do you put it back in?
See, now I took it out.
How do you
Just a
put
little
it?
drip coming out there.
How do you,
Ooh, see how fast it's coming out now?
how do you get it? How do you put the oil back in?
Well, you put the oil back in, you can squirt it in this way until it starts coming out of this upper hole, and then you know that it's full. So you could fill it from the bottom up. That's the best way to do it. That way you don't get any air in there.
Or you can screw it back in,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. I got my other container just in case it gets too full. Looks like it's getting full. Doesn't look bad though. I've seen much worse.
that came out like 1, 2, 3, gone. Right?
Not quite that fast, but pretty fast.
What was that thing for?
That thing there?
Yeah.
That's to put the water in the. That's to put the water in there because the water cools the engine, so the engine doesn't get too hot.
It's going to get overloaded.
Nah, not quite.
Yes, on this.
It's not going to overflow yet. Relax.